Hello everyone, my name is Charles. Today I'm going to talk about the technical trends in phytoplankton productions in Pacific Arctic region from 1950 to 2012. First, I want to introduce some terms we'll be using in this paper. First, we both know that the primary producer in ocean is the phytoplankton. If the phytoplankton grows, they need the nutrients. Sorry. And if we want to know how many amount of phytoplankton, we can use the satellite to see the growth rate in the sea surface. And the phytoplankton will produce the organic materials in the oceans. So how many organic materials in an area will be the primary production that we need in this paper. And next is the integrated primary production. If we think ocean is built by different layers, and just like that, and we can use the formula like here. We integrate the top disk PP data to the deepest PP data. Then we totally get the integrated primary production. We'll call IPP later. The third one will be the subsurface primary production measurement. And look at this plot, just see the green line. And the green line in the X zone is the growth rate, and Y zone is the depth. And this is a very obvious maximum. And in this part, they call it the subsurface growth rate and maximum layers, but it is very similar to the SPM. And they are both located in the neutron line. And in the SPM, they are usually formed after the surface phytoplankton decline, and due to the nutrient limitation caused by the stratification of the water column. And they are usually formed in the neutron line. And if the light is available, and they will stimulate the primary production. And in the model, the SPM produce about 60% of annual Arctic ocean production, which means this mechanism is important to this region. And the light level, we both know that the light is the electromagnetic radiation, so the water will absorb it. So if the light still can penetrate, we call it a photic zone. If not, a photic zone. So this is geographic knowledge to talk about in this paper. So many people know that the Bering Strait is a border to the Asia and America. The Asia part is the East Siberia, which belongs to the Russia. The American part is the Alaska, belongs to the USA. And it also is the border to the Pacific Sea and Pacific Ocean, and the Arctic Sea. In this paper, they separate this part in this region versus from the south part is the tropical basins. When you get northward, cross the Bering Strait, the South China Sea, and get northward, North China Sea. And if you get along the Alaska coastline, and we'll guide to the Berthold Strait. And if we get along the Siberia coastline, we will go to the East Siberia Sea. If we get both into the northward, we will go to the Chukchi Peninsula and Canadian basins. And our goal is to detect the decadal trend in both vertical PP profile and the seasonal IPP. PP is primary production, IPP is integrated primary production. And in the data collections, we combine the data set and choose the data both have the PP data and the light level data. So we only have 340 stations, and they are not uniform in time or space. Mostly are collecting in the summer, and due to the bad weather in the winter and ice cover. And we're talking about the decadal difference in the vertical profile of primary productions. And if we want to know the decadal difference, we need to repeat observation and overlap the measurement that we get. But in this region, we only two places can do it. One is in the central channel of the southern Chukchi Sea, another is the Halashou section. And this is the central channel of the southern Chartic Sea, and the north part is the Halashio section. First, the central channel of the southern Chartic Sea we have been collected since the 1960, but in this we can see they are mostly collected in 1959 and 2004 to 2007. So we use this data, then we can see in this right figure, we can see X long is the time, Y long is the IPP. You can see in the 1960s it is just about 100, but when you get to the 2000s, we can see it has 8 times more than the data in 1960. So it is a very significant change in this area. And next we go from this last data, which is collected in August. And the normalized primary production is the X zone, which means that they put the PP maxima as the 1, and other data will be relative to the maxima of the data here. So the Y zone is the depth. So we can see in 1960 they have a very obvious maxima here, which is we have been talking about the subsurface primary production maxima. But in the 21st century, we can see they only have a maxima in the surface. So there is a very big change. But what caused this change? Reason one is that the thermocline has become deeper, and they will remove the nutrient line from the euphotic zone. It was known that it will eliminate the SPM, subsurface primary production maxima, because we know the SPM is located in the nutrient line. But if they need to stimulate the primary production, they need the light. But if the nutrient line has been removed from the euphotic zone, they cannot do the photosynthesis there. The second one is the expanding open water conditions. And you can see here, if the place is surrounded by the ice, they are not open water. Open water is in this part. So as this condition gets more and more, the fresh will get large and large. The fresh means the ocean will be influenced by the wind. And due to some mechanism, they will cause more and more vertical mixing and will bring the nutrient to the surface. And the next one is the flux of the water to the Bering Strait has increased 50% since 2001, which will bring more nutrient supply from the Pacific Ocean. And all of this we can see the obvious sweep of vertical distribution and magnitude of integrated primary production. And Halashio sections is in this place, and we have been collect the data from 1993, 2002, and 2004. Y zone is depth, X zone is the distance from shelves to Canadian basins. So from 1993, we can see that there we have a high PP, relative high PP, above the 20 meters. And we think it as the very beginning of the phytoplankton growth. And we can see in this satellite data, blue part oceans, green part is land, and the gray part, if we get darker, means less sea ice cover, and the yellow part is the sediment. And when we collect this data, we have almost 20 to 80% of ice cover. So we got the conclusion here in this plot. Phytoplankton bloom just begin under the persistent ice cover. And in this plot, we can see there is a very high PP in these layers, and we think it as a subsurface primary production maximum. And in this, when we do this measurement, they have less than 10% of ice cover, which we think it as open water conditions. So, and due to these conditions, we think it as the surface boom has already started before the ice retreat. So they will get a high PP when we get to measurement measure that. So this is very similar to the previous figure, but it's just a little bit less. But it still have a large high PP in this area, and we also see it as a subsurface primary production maximum here. But in the same, they are entirely ice-free in this when we collect this data in here. So the conclusion is the same. The surface boom has already started before the sea ice retreat. So we make the conclusion. Due to the thickness of the sea ice the thick of the sea ice is getting thinner and thinner, so that the light can penetrate into the surface water, will let the surface phytoplankton boom. So, and earlier ice will retreat, then we'll see the figure that we saw in the previous slide, and it will affect the ecosystem in the Pacific Arctic region. And but we still need to confirm more evidence in this region, but due to the lack of consistent repeat observation in this region, so we need to do more in this region. But we have been using new instruments in this region, so hopefully we can get more data to do this. Okay, thank you.
I think this is a good talk, but somewhere in the PowerPoint you can put it bigger. And somewhere is reverse. You can try to revert.
You can try to what?
Revert.
Revert.
Wait, to put reverse. Reverse.
Reverse. Okay. Okay. Thank you, Christopher. And Willy.
He ate a lot of image in the presentation, and his talk is fluently, but I think it's still too fast to the audience, which hard to get the point that he tried to convey.
I think your talk speed is too fast and you introduce so many place names, but I think you just need to introduce a roughly big place, need not to so many small place names. That means can understand.